Okay, class, we're about to start on section 3.3, adding and subtracting unlike fractions. Okay, now, what I want to do here, you can read this at your leisure, and I want to scroll to the second page. Well, actually to the third page, where we start with example set A. Okay, now, the first thing we have to do here is this. We need to find a common denominator. Now, to find a common denominator, because remember, when you add or subtract fractions, they must have the same denominator in order for you to be able to combine them. So as we see here, we have 5 and 9 as our denominator. Okay, now, we are going to do the prime factorization to find the common denominator. We have 5 here, we have 9 here. Now, the prime factorization of 5 is just 5. The prime factorization of 9 is 3 times 3. Now, the first thing we try and see is if there's anything that matches up between these two factors. Nothing matches up. So we write every last factor down in numerical order, from the smallest to the largest. So it'll be 3 times 3 times 5, which is 45. So now our common denominator here is 45. Okay, now since we have our new common denominator, we also must find our new numerators, and this is how we do it. I want you to pay close attention to this. What you need to do is, this will be your first new fraction, so you go back to your first original fraction. Now you would take the new denominator divided by the old denominator. And I'm going to go off to the side here to show you. The new denominator is 45 divided by the old denominator, which is 5. So this is the new and this is the old. So 45 divided by 5 is 9. Now, what happens with this 9 is this here. We would take this 9 and we will multiply it by this old numerator. So 9 times 2 is 18. That took care of your first fraction. Now we go to the second fraction. We have the new denominator divided by the old denominator. So this is the new and this is the old. 45 divided by 9, we know is 5. So we would take this 5 here and we will multiply it by this 4 here. 5 times 4 gives us 20. Now we combine the fractions. Our denominator stays 45 and we add the numerators. 18 plus 20 is 38. And we're done. Okay, now that was our first fraction. Now we go to problem number 2. Now with problem number 2, we have a denominator of 6 and 9. So we take 6 and we take 9 here. 6 prime factorization is 2 times 3, and 9's prime factorization is 3 times 3. Now, what we notice here is this here. We look at our lowest number first over here in the 6, which is 2. Nothing matches up with the 2. So we will bring the 2 down. Now we go to our next term. We have this 3 here. These two 3's match up. Okay, now whenever you have a factor from the first number that matches up with a factor from the second number, you only write that number once. Again, we had the factor of 3 from 6 and a factor of 3 from 9. They matched up, so you only count it once. Now what we're left with is this extra 3 here, which we bring down because it doesn't match up with anything else. Now we multiply. 2 times 3 is 6, times 3 is 18. So our common denominator here, and I'm going to draw this little line here to let you know that this goes with problem number 1. Okay, our new fraction, or our new denominator of our fraction, is 18. Now we have to find our numerator. So this is what we would do. we would take the new denominator, which is 18, divided by the old denominator, which is 6. 18 divided by 6 is 3. So now we take this 3 and we multiply it by this numerator. So 3 times 5 gives us 15. Now, we take the new denominator and divide it by the old denominator here, which is 9. 18 divided by 9 is 2. So we would take this 2 and we'll multiply it by this numerator here with this 2. So 2 times 2 is 4. Now, we combine like terms. The denominator is 18, and we add our numerator. 15 plus 4 is 19. Now, we scroll down here. Now, we need to find the common denominator of 6 and 18. So we have 6, we have 18. 6 breaks down to 2 times 3. And 18 breaks down to 2 times 9, then 3 times 3. So the prime factorization of 6 is 2 times 3, and the prime factorization of 18 is 2 times 3 times 3. Now we look here. Our lowest number with our prime factorization of 6 is 2, and we have a 2 here with the 18. They match up, you count it once. Now we look at the second number, 3. This 3 matches up with this 3. You count it once. There's no more numbers here, but we have an extra 3 here that we bring down. 2 times 3 is 6 times 3 is 18. So our common denominator is 18. Now, what we do again, we take the new denominator divided by the old denominator. So we have 18 divided by 6, which gave us 3. So now we would take this 3 and multiply it by this numerator. 3 times 1 is 3. Now we take the new denominator, which is 18, divided by the old denominator, which also happens to be 18. Now we know 18 divided by 18 is 1. So we would take this 1 here and multiply it by the 5. 1 times 5 is 5. Now we combine the like terms. The common denominator is 18, and we take 3 plus 5, which is 8. Now we need to take the prime factorization of 8 and 18 so we can simplify. Now we know, I'll go off to the side here, the prime factorization of 8 is 2 times 4, and then we have 2 times 2. So the prime factorization of 8 is 3 2's. So our new numerator would be 2 times 2 times 2. Now we already have the prime factorization of 18, which we had here, 2 times 3 times 3. Now we simplify out what they have in common. These two simplify out, and that is the only thing they have in common. So your numerator will be 4, your denominator will be 9. And that's it for problem number 3. Now we come here to problem number 4. Now, we take the prime factorization of 4 and the prime factorization of 5. Prime factorization of 4 is 2 times 2, and we already know that 5 is prime. Now if you notice here, they have nothing in common, so you will write down all of the factors. So 2 times 2 is 4, times 5 is 20. So our denominators are 20. Now just like we did in the last problem, we would take the new denominator divided by the old denominator. 20 divided by 4 is 5. So we would take this 5 and multiply by this 1. 5 times 1 is 5. Now we take the new denominator divided by the old denominator. 20 divided by 5 is 4. So we would take this 4 and multiply it by this numerator here. 4 times 4 is 16. Now we have 5 20ths plus 16 20ths. Our denominator would stay 20, and 5 plus 16 is 21. Now, if we look back here at problem number, I believe it was, problem number 2's answer, which was 19 over 18, we did not change this to a mixed number because this is already factored, and we were not asked to change this to a mixed number. And we come down here to number 4, and it's the same thing. 21 over 20 is the final answer. They have nothing else in common, and since we were not asked to write this as a mixed number, we're done. Now, we go down here to set B. Now, I'm not going to use multiple methods. We're just going to stick with the method that we used in the first 4 problems, but this time we're going to do subtraction. So now we find the prime factorization of 9 and 5. Prime factorization of 9 is 3 times 3, and we know the prime factorization of 5 stays 5. Now, since none of these numbers match up, our prime factorization is all of these factors. 3 times 3 is 9, times 5 is 45. So we keep our denominator as 45. Now, remember, we take the new denominator divided by the old denominator. 45 divided by 9 gives us 5. So we'll take this 5 and multiply it by this 4. 5 times 4 is 20. Now we take the new denominator divided by the old denominator. 45 divided by 5 is 9. So we'll take this 9 and we'll multiply it by this 2. 9 times 2 is 18. Now, our denominator stays 45. 20 minus 18 is 2. Now, we go to problem number 2. We do the prime factorization of 6 and 9. The prime factorization of 6 is 2 times 3, and the prime factorization of 9 is 3 times 3. Now, we have nothing that matches up with this 2, so we bring it down. These 2 3's match up, you write them once, and then you write down this extra 3. So we add 2 times 3 is 6, times 3 is 18. So our common denominator here is 18. Now, this is what we need to do here. Again, we take the new denominator divided by the old denominator. We add 18 divided by 6, which gives us 3. So we would take this 3 and multiply it by this numerator. 3 times 5 is 15. Now, we take this new denominator and divide it by the old denominator. 18 divided by 9 is 2. So we would take this 2 here and multiply it by this 2 here. 2 times 2 is 4. Now, we subtract. Our denominator stays 18. 15 minus 4 is 11. So our answer here is 11 over 18. Now we come down here to number 3. We take our denominators of 18 and 6. 18 breaks down to 2 times 9, and 9 breaks down to 3 times 3. So it'll be 2 times 3 times 3. 6 breaks down to 2 times 3. So 6 prime factorization is 2 times 3. Now we have these 2's that match up and these 3's that match up. So we'll write 1, 2, and then 1, 3, and we have this extra 3 here. So 2 times 3 is 6, times 3 is 18. So our common denominator is 18. Now again, we take the new denominator divided by the old denominator. That gives us 1. So we take this 1 and multiply by this 5. 1 times 5 is 5. New denominator divided by the old denominator. 18 divided by 6 is 3. So we'll take this 3 and multiply by this 1. 3 times 1 is 3. Now we subtract. 5 minus 3 is 2, and your denominator is 18. Now,